Hi everyone, I'm going to show you the process of glazing your pieces. So your pieces have already gone through the first firing, which is called a bisque firing. Now I'm going to glaze them. So what I do the dip glazing. So I dip your whole piece in this bucket that has a glaze in it. I don't know if you can see it. But first, your glaze has to be mixed really, really well. And the consistency of the glaze also needs to be accurate. So basically, when I first buy the glaze, I keep adding water to it until I get the right consistency, like ratio between water and glaze. Because what I'm using is actually a brush on glazing, but I'm sort of like converted to a dipping glaze. So a brush on glaze usually is thicker, but when you want to dip your pieces in the glaze, it needs to be lighter. Otherwise, you will gonna end up with too much of a thick glaze, and you're gonna get an effect that is not like pleasant. It's gonna look a little bit cloudy. I call it milky, like too thick. You could also get crawling, or you could get like bubbles if the glaze is too thick. So the only way around it, and after doing lots of testing, I found the right ratio. So there's a few tests that you can do to make sure that your glaze is the right consistency. So basically, you just want to see how it looks like. You can use the finger test. You can also use the staring test. So basically you stare very, very fast, and then you look at it and see how long does it take for the staring to stop. And also you can just weigh the glaze and see how much it weighs. So first, like you weigh the glaze, the cup, the measuring cup, an empty measuring cup, and then you weigh it with water, and then you weigh it with glaze, and then you make the difference. So it is a long process, but finally, after you achieve the right consistency, then you are fine. So you can just keep using this one, but you have to mix it really, really well. Anyway, maybe that's too much information for you to know, but I'm just showing you what happens behind the scene because, as I said, and many, many times, your workshop doesn't actually end when you walk away from the studio. You are still paying, like what you paid involve all of those extra things that happens behind the scene. So here you go. So I'm gonna now start doing the dip glazing. So I use this tool here, and that part is basically goes on the from the outside. I will dip it as well in glaze, just making sure those dots actually do add a little bit of glaze to your pieces. So now what I do, I just dip it. Now because the glaze has become lower than it used to be because I've used it a lot, I'm just gonna sort of tilt the bucket a little bit to make sure I get a full coverage, and then quickly take it out. You don't want to leave it there for too long. If you do leave it there for too long, then you're gonna also end up with a very thick glaze. So I can see a little bit of a thick glaze in here. I can just maybe scrape that off. And as you can see, this area, because it's been wax, I add wax resist in here, that area doesn't get glazed. There's a little bit of extra glaze. I will wipe that off later with a sponge, but you're not allowed to have glaze in here because otherwise it will get stuck on the kiln shelf. And now that it's ready, I would just put it down and move towards the next piece. So again, I would just hold it like this, maybe bend that bucket slightly, and then quickly take it out. And then you just wait for it. And then this is another test that you can do. How long does it take for the glaze to dry? So dry to the touch. And that also will it will tell you how thick is your glaze, okay? But sometimes if your piece is too wet, it does take longer for the glaze to dry and get absorbed, okay? So yeah, just an educational video for you. Thank you so much for watching.